Well, hello, this is KC7NYR using the simple screen recorder in Linux. I'm running MX Linux on my laptop. So today we're going to take a look at how to set up a virtual machine through Oracle VM VirtualBox. And this is what I do through the Linux usernet, but I've never made a video how to do it. So I decided to give it a try. Okay, so I've done a few of these, and what I do is I test software out and I bring it back to the users. But because it's different when you get to see me do it live, so here's what you do. And you click on the new, okay? In this case, I want to install, let me go back there, Manjaro. And Manjaro is a open source based on Arch Linux operating system. Of course, you see all the user friendliness, accessibility, and it's straight out of the box is supposed to work just fine. Well, it does, right? And I've tested it because I have it on a laptop, okay? And I use that during my nets when I run a D1 and a Linux user net. And so what you want to do is, first of all, let's go over here and shrink the recorder. You want to name it. So we're going to go with Manjaro, and it's a Linux distribution. It's 64, and there it is. So sometimes you can select it from here. Sometimes you don't know what it is. In this case, it saw Mandrivia, which is the same as Manjaro. So the next step you want to do is click Next. Okay, let me get rid of this. Well, looks like I didn't get rid of that. Let's try that again. Okay, so this is the memory size. So in a virtual machine, it sees the full memory of your system. I have 8 gigs. You do not want to go into red, so slide this over as high as you can. I usually go with at least 4 gigs or a little more. You do not want to go into red because then your operating system does not have anything to run on. Even though Linux can run on anything, you still want to leave some RAM memory. Click Next. You want to create a virtual hard disk now. Create. Now you have multiple options, but stick with the VDI VirtualBox. I don't want to go into detail right now. I want to keep it simple. Click Next. Okay, dynamically allocated hard disks will only use space on your physical hard disk as it fills up to the maximum fixed size, although it will not shrink automatically when the space is freed. Fixed hard drive may take longer to create some systems, but often faster to use. I've always used dynamically allocated. Click Next. Now here we're into the memory of the hard drive. Excuse me, the size of the hard drive. And since we're testing now, this is based on how much hard disk space that you have. Let's say that you have a terabyte, you got plenty, you can make it as big as you want, but in my case, I have a small hard drive, so I usually run it about 32 gigs. That works for me, since I'm testing an operating system, okay? Click Create, and then this is the screen you get. Now, in this case, the first thing you want to do is click Start. You notice it's empty. Now you have an option. Now if you burn a disk, this is where you go to your CD-ROM. I didn't do that. I created an ISO image, so you click on this folder right here. And now I see Manjaro at the top and the ISO, right? You click Open. Fills it in, click Start. So now what it does, it's going to start the system, and you can see the options. I'm going to boot it right here. Hit Enter. A lot of times what it does, it loads them in what's called a live CD. Now I want you to see this because there's other options depending on the load. Now you can see it's checking everything off with the OK. You see the green on the left side. So Linux is very smart. It goes through and checks everything. It'll tell you upon install if there's a problem with your hardware or something needs to take time. For instance, you're starting a job right here and it's done. So if you watch the install, this is actually tells you what's going on during the initial install. The other thing to consider is it's going to go into a live CD boot, so it'll actually run out of memory, but not install on the virtual machine hard disk. And that's just like your hard drive on your regular laptop or home desktop. And if you notice, I have not clicked on these X's, and there's a reason I have not done that. Inside a virtual machine, if you click on these too early, you'll lose your mouse capability of going inside and outside like I'm doing right now. And then you have to redo the whole thing. So what I'm doing, I'm going to wait and allow it to do what I see. Now I see a desktop. So now I feel like the drivers are loaded. So now I'll go ahead and click on these X's because now that's part of the virtual machine. So let me explain before we go any further that inside the virtual machine, the operating system is inside the box. Up here, this controls the actual virtual machine settings. Here you can do other stuff. Now, I don't want to go into great detail, but for instance, if you set something wrong, you can go in here and change it. You can also do a snapshot, and that backs up the last session that you ran on the virtual machine. It's also available at the bottom of the screen, way bottom. You can't see it right here. Let me move it up. You see all this at the very bottom. This is the virtual machine settings, not the internal operating system. Okay, so let's carry on. You notice it has updates. Well, I don't want updates. First of all, I want to see what's going on. So this is Manjaro. So it tells you everything about it. This is the start menu. It tells you what's going on, right? So at this point, I'm going to X out of that because I haven't installed it. Now, you can still test drive it, and what's going on here is you can take a look at it, and you'll see at the bottom, you'll see there's updates. That's what this is for. And it'll tell you the updates. Well, we don't want to do updates because we're on the live CD. Okay? What you're doing is you're testing out the operating system before you install it on your local hard drive. Here, this shows you the operating system. So you have all your settings, accessories. You can see them here, right? And again, this is not a complete comprehensive tutorial. We're going to just show you how to install the operating system. And same thing with this. So Office, everything's available here. So it gives you a test drive. So if you like what you see, you know, for instance, the update manager, all this stuff. So let's say you like it. Okay, I like it. This is the actual reboot menu here. Okay, so let's say you like it. So this is your chance to test drive the operating system before you install it on your local hard drive. You have a couple options. You can either build a dual boot system and have an option of booting your current system along with the Manjaro, or you may want to just make a Manjaro single system. So here's your options. So let's go ahead and click over here where it says install Manjaro, and this is the part I want to show you. So you got to test drive it, and this is the installer. So it loads, and you have all these options on the left hand side. So we're going to go through these one step at a time. So now I decided I want to install Manjaro. It has the Juhara installer. It tells you what's going on, and it choose your language, and you click next. And I'm not in Los Angeles, actually. I'm actually somewhere else. So let's see if it can find where I'm at. Sometimes this gets kind of weird. It doesn't show exactly where I'm at. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, Phoenix. So we'll go with Los Angeles. That's actually correct. So you can choose any area of United States. Click next. And the keyboard gets set up depending on where you're located. You have an option to change that. I am in the English area. Now, Now, since I'm on a virtual box, if you had multiple hard drives, you can select which hard drive you want to install it. In this case, you can do manual partitioning. That means if you had multiple partitions of a hard drive, you can install it on a particular partition of your hard drive and use one hard drive. Let's say you had a 2 terabyte hard drive. You can install it in a partition of that 2 terabyte, or you can just erase the whole thing. So we decided to go with that. Now this shows you how to do it. You can also encrypt it, and it tells you what's going to happen next. It also tells you where your bootloader location will be. Now you can also just stay up here, but let's just go with erase all data, swap with hibernate. So let's put that in there. That's pretty cool. So we put Manjaro 23, and then we have an 8 gig swap, which is important. Linux needs a swap file, but they give us a hibernate feature. Now I don't want to encrypt my disk, but you can. Okay. You can also click on manual partitioning, just so you can see what it looks like. And you'd have to do this all manually. But let's go with the automatic, which is the easiest way to do it. Okay. And again, this is the main. Now, if you had multiple disks, see, you can change it here. So you do not want to do that in this case. Okay, because we're on a virtual machine. It's showing the VBox, which tells me I am on a virtual 32 gig drive. Click next. What's my name? Well, I'm not going to tell my name. I'm xfce, and my PC is going to be the same. Choose a password. I'll do that. Okay, we do not want login automatically without asking. Use the same password as the administrator password. That's a good idea. Not everybody wants to do that. I do. Okay, so now we set up an account. This is the users. Every computer needs an account. Click next. Okay, so right now it's going to show what Office. Well, I want Libre, so you can go free Office, but I like Libre, right? So you have an option to check your Office suite. Click next. Now it's going to give you everything, a summary, time zone, keyboard, and partitions. It gives you current and after. I agree with that. Looks pretty cool, right? This is a very nice installer. Then I click install. Then it tells you you're about to make changes in order to install 18.12. You're not able to undo. I say, of course. So now you're going to see it install. I've installed Manjaro on one of my main laptops that I run during the Linux usernet and during the District 1 net that I am assistant net manager. And I have a lot of fun with Manjaro. It's quite fast. I run it on a system that is a Lenovo with 4 gigs of RAM. That's not a whole lot. It's got a dual core processor, which is quite old. So if you have older hardware, Manjaro is a great option. Now, another option is MX Linux 18 or 19, depending on if it's compatible. If you're running, I've had a problem with MX 19, had to revert back to 18. In this particular case, it ran fine on this particular laptop. So we're going to let this install, and this is where we're at. So soon as it's done, I'll give you the next screen, KC7NYR. Okay, so everything booted up just fine. This is Manjaro in a virtual machine. Now it shows a lot of updates. If you click that, I'm not going to run these updates right now, but you can see they're all available. For the video, I wanted to show you how to install Manjaro on a virtual machine. And see, you can check out all the menus. It's very informative. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay. For instance, you got Thunderbird, all this cool stuff, Firefox, accessories. There's a lot here. So Manjaro I've been using on my laptop for about 2 months now. It's very, very smooth. It's very fast. I don't have a lot of problems at all. So I recommend Manjaro. This is what it looks like. KC7NYR.